Hello everyone, welcome back after a solid 2 weeks away to the Pretend Pundits. I'm Andy, joined as always by Sean to pretend to know about football. More specifically transfers, because there is no football on. Honestly, mate, I am so lost without football. Don't know what to do.
We've had international games that have not been total dross.
Oh, of course, yeah, because, when it was coming up to like April, late March, early April, I was thinking, I can't wait to watch us play Macedonia and Malta.
North Macedonia. There is no South Macedonia.
Oh, dear. Sorry, don't shut me down for political reasons. Yeah. So in the long couple of weeks we've been offshore, we've not really missed all that much apart from Saudi Arabia launching a takeover of football. We'll cover all that later on. All the pods we're going to do from now on in until football actually begins. And there's no pre-season friendlies. We're going to be mostly talking about what's going on with transfer stuff. So we're going to be talking today, Fabrizio Romano, a little bit talking about Mason Mount. Has he done a U-turn on his Man United move? What's the deal with that? Talk about some done deals, what we think of them. Talk about our club's transfer activity as we know it. And then we'll have a little bit of a look at what's coming up too. So let's get straight into it, Sean. Fabrizio Romano, famously the go-to man for transfers almost every year. You could argue now that he's not so much the most reliable or not the earliest, but he's still always reliable, would you say?
I'd say he's reliable, but I'll caveat that with he used to only pop up with the times that he knew something. Now they're in discussions, they have held formal talks. It is too much, and I think that knocks his credibility for me. If you saw Fabrizio Romano on Twitter 18 months ago and he'd say something about football, you'd go, oh my God, it's amazing. But now he's streaming constantly, he's on podcasts, he's on Twitter religiously, posting 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. I don't know. I think he loses all of his credibility. I think David Ornstein, for example, is still doing what he used to do.
Yeah.
I'd say he's a little bit more reliable at the moment.
Yeah,
chill out, Fabrizio.
To be fair, I get where you're coming from, but that's all part of it, isn't it? Like, transfer content is so heavily consumed. I think he's doing absolutely the right thing. I don't think he loses any credibility for that. I just think, like you say, he doesn't give himself a rest. And what I've been really enjoying recently is, I don't know if you've seen any of this stuff, but he's been absolutely roasting people on Twitter as well. Like,
I did see that.
There was that Brentford fan. Did you see that one where he got on the phone with him and just said, look, you're being a dickhead, basically? He just absolutely took the piss out of him. That was a great one for me. I don't think... I can see where you're coming from. He'll tweet an update about a player a couple of times a day, but that's always very clickable players. It's always the Bellingham stuff, the Mount stuff, because it's Man United, it's clicks, it's... And I get where you're coming from, but I don't think he loses credibility. I just think he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he didn't tweet nonstop and go on podcasts, he wouldn't be doing enough. But because he's doing it, he's just providing non-updates, if that makes sense. Ben Ray, welcome in, dude. Thank you very much for stopping by.
I wonder whether or not Fabrizio Romano got a little bit of a kickback from the Mudryk deal, because I think agents are paid. Agents like Fabrizio, reliable sources of information on social medias, to kind of hype up a transfer, because Chelsea weren't interested at the very beginning, and then it was like, here we go, and it's like, right, Arsenal are going to get £100 million winger. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. And then Fabrizio talks about it constantly. Maybe, just maybe, he's trying to drum up interest, and maybe the presidents of these football clubs, or the chairmans of these football clubs, kind of feed a bit of information into it. Maybe the West Ham owners are saying to them, we've just rejected a third bid for Declan Rice, on the off chance that he retweets it again, and maybe another scout is going, hang on a minute, 3 bids rejected, we could probably pinch this from underneath Arsenal's noses. Who's to say that he's not getting some sort of kickback?
So you're already blaming Fabrizio Romano for Rice rejecting you and going to City?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I'll
not a
get the
chance.
tinfoil hats on, but I'm not saying it's solely his fault. I'm just
Yeah,
saying maybe the media is drunk. I mean, there has been no formal bid from Manchester City from what I've seen,
no.
but but they're in pole position apparently. How do you be in pole position if you haven't made any bids? Who
Well,
knows?
that's the thing,
Fabrizio
isn't
knows.
it? So I'll go back to the 2 points on that. So this is exactly where the Brentford guy was coming from as well. He was
Hmm.
saying that Fabrizio's to blame for all this David Raya interest, like drumming up all the stories, like, oh, is it done or not? You know, you're the one that's causing all this. It's just like,
Yeah.
no, Brentford are just a tiny club, like, and you've got a player that's better than your average players.
Hmm.
So I don't think he's to blame for that at all. He did mention something along the lines of it being it's illegal, isn't it? Like,
For tapping up, it is,
but
but that's from clubs tapping up.
when we talk about legality and football, it just seems to be a case of who you are. Like, for example, Man United apparently can only spend 150 million for FFP, but if your name's Chelsea, you can spend however much you like.
600 million.
Yeah, or if you're Man City, also you can do whatever the hell you like. Talking of Chelsea, Skill Shots is in the chat. Hello, mate. Welcome back. And yeah, what was the second point? I did just miss something there after that.
I don't know.
The point that
I was going.
the point that you finished on about the bids. That's it. The bids. So
That's it.
this is always this is the thing that always comes out when it comes to transfers. There is official processes to it, and there's also unofficial processes. So I think that what happens now is bids don't actually go in until someone has an inkling that it will be close.
Mm-hmm.
So it's normally always player terms get agreed with the player first of all, then the bid is launched. So is it 2 bids now that Arsenal have put for Rice?
Two. You guys have had three for Bounce, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think 2 have been rejected and the third is still on the table. I think Chelsea instantly rejected the first 2 and then they counter offered the third. Whereas Man United have said, look, no, we're not overpaying. And I don't know. We'll get to the Mount stuff in a minute. We've got a segment on Mount. But in terms of Fabrizio, we'll leave it at that. I think he is just doing a job. He self-admits to working 20 hours a day. David Ornstein, again, he is a very, very good journalist. They're the only 2 on my Twitter that I have notifications turned on for, because I know that when they say something, it's true and it's not, it's not just hyped up or whatever. But yeah, there's plenty of other bullshit out on Twitter, so just be careful about what stories you read. Don't read The Sun, for example.
It's all with the blue ticks. The blue ticks have bamboozled me. I'm like, oh my god, it's news. I got caught with the Serie A thing for Juventus getting their 15 points back the other day, and I'm like, oh my god, it's brand new news.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, that was 3 weeks ago, and I've just been caught out by somebody with a blue tick again.
Yeah, there's something bugged with Twitter. People making fake Fabrizio accounts saying "here we go" and stuff like that, and it pops up as a notification on my phone. I don't follow them. Never seen this account in my life. Like, just please, just fix it. Probably just because it gets so much traction. I don't know. What's good? How are we doing? Well, what isn't good is the fact that there's no football, but at least we've still got a little something to talk about. So the Mason Mount stuff. Then we'll move straight on to that now. This is, as a United fan, I can't get excited about this transfer because there's good and there's bad to it, right? The bad is that he's not really blown anyone away. He has been second choice at Chelsea for whatever reason. I don't think if Poch wanted him as part of his plans, this would even be a debate. It's not so much Poch doesn't want him. It's more that Ten Hag wants him, maybe. But yeah, I can't get excited. But at the end of the day, it's an upgrade to Fred and McTominay, right? But
yeah, I'd say so. I think he's being used as in the wrong position. Personally, I think he's probably more a box to box midfielder than somebody that off the left or the right. But
yeah,
but they probably played him there because they didn't have any strikers. They didn't have wingers for the large part of last season. So yeah, I think he'd be good for you guys. To be fair, it's not one that I'm jealous of.
no,
But I think that I think he's definitely an improvement on McTominay and definitely an improvement off of Bruno Fernandes. No. Fred. Fred
I
and
think,
McTominay.
yeah, it's yet to be seen. Like I say, we've all seen Mason Mount in a Chelsea shirt and an England shirt, but it just depends what, like you say, what Ten Hag wants him for. I mean, we'll see. It looks like it is going to be done in one way or another, but this is the cycle of being a United fan in transfer season, right? You tell yourself after last season, after the last transfer window, I'm not getting carried away. Transfer season comes around, you get a little bit excited, but you tell yourself you're not getting carried away. We're bad at business, don't get carried away, blah blah blah, and then you end up getting carried away. I thought this Mason Mount thing would have been done by now, to be honest. It would have been all decided, but it's just 50-50 again, up in the air. No one knows what's going on. Now we've dropped interest and going for Caicedo instead, who's a totally different type of player. Just give me strength.
I love that though, because basically what Man United are saying is, look, Chelsea, I can see you want Caicedo and we want Mount, but you're being dicks over Mount, so we're going to be dicks over Caicedo. So,
but isn't Arsenal another runner for the Caicedo transfer? No,
we bid for him in January, and Brighton said he's not for sale for any price. Then he signed a new contract, which I thought was a bit weird. It was only like 10 days later that he signed a new contract. So, I'd like him. Can I see us paying 100 million for Rice and 70 million for Caicedo, maybe even 80 million for Caicedo as well, and Havertz and Timber apparently and Lavia? It's never going to happen. So
no,
I'd prefer that we didn't spend that kind of money on both Rice and Caicedo, and we just maybe focus on that and bring a couple other midfielders in.
Yeah,
we've still got El Neni, so what do we need to worry about?
Yeah. I mean, it could happen. Like if the Rice deal falls through, for example. I think Partey's on the way out as well, isn't he? So what's that, 20-30 million coming in?
Yeah, so they're on about 30-ish million for him. And I'll be honest, I do like Thomas Partey as a player, but there's just too much around. Like, I mean, dropped off at the end of last season. He dropped off at the end of the season before. He seems to pick up injuries innocuously.
Life comes at you fast. I remember there was a point last season you said he was one of the most important players, and now it's like
he is. Yeah. If we can get some decent money out of him and replace him with a better player, then why not? But yeah, I genuinely believe he's one of our most important players. But when he drops form, he is like a car crash in our central midfield. Everything he does touches. The passes are dreadful. The tackles are dreadful. His positioning is dreadful. He stops the whole attack if he's not having a good day. So
yeah,
get rid of him if he's not going to have if he's going to have mediocre days. Let's replace him with somebody who's a bit more consistent.
Yeah, so we'll stick on theme with Arsenal. Then we'll continue to talk about some of our players and transfers that we're linked with. So ins, are you looking at potentially Rice? What about Yuri and Timber? Now that was obviously one of Man United's priority targets last season, but he was told that if he plays for Man United, Louis van Gaal said he'll never play for his country ever again.
I don't know. From what I've seen, he's more of a central defender, but he's a weak aerial threat. Aerial defender. So maybe do what we did with White and just put him out on the right. I've seen a lot of people saying that he could be maybe an inverted right back in a similar way to what Zinchenko can do, and kind of fill in that midfield. I'd be quite open to having a player that can do that on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. I mean, it would be an absolute car crash to play them both at the same time. But why not make us a little bit more diverse? Hopefully we can get some train tickets for Cedric, get him out so that we don't have too many right-backs.
The Cedric bashing is still continued.
It will continue until this motherfucker has gone.
Yeah, I think he seems like a good player. I think if he was the first target over Lisandro Martinez from a United fan's perspective, then he's got to be something special, right? And not too bad of a price either. Is he 25 to 30 million? Yeah.
Yeah. And he's captain of Ajax at the moment. So what I can see that we're bringing in is Havertz was the captain of Bayer Leverkusen at 21 years old. Rice is the captain of West Ham. Timber, the captain of Ajax. sounds like we're just getting leaders, mentally strong players on the pitch as well, which is good.
But would you say they're captains out of like just necessity because they're the best available? Like,
Yeah, I'd probably
after
agree with
Mark
that.
Noble, there's no other captain material at West Ham, is there really? Jared
No,
Bowen, no.
no,
Senior players, maybe Fabianski, but
Yeah, sometimes I see clubs normally give the captaincy to their best player rather than their best leader, in like an attempt to keep them, like it's a promise that they'll give the player. You can be the captain if you'll stay.
yeah,
I,
laughs
I
in
remember,
Harry Maguire.
yeah, I remember seeing the same thing with Thierry Henry in 2005, I think, when Vieira left, or 2006 when Vieira left. We gave Thierry Henry the captaincy to try and make him stay forever, but it didn't, and I cried. So
no, I get that.
maybe that's what it is with Declan Rice. But he looks like a good captain, a good leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had the typical people following or liking on Instagram different things. Rasmus Højlund, the Wish Haaland. He's been liking Garnacho's post on Instagram today, and he's just gone and followed a bunch of United players last week or so. So the Højlund thing looks like a done deal, which is good. At the end of the day, it's a striker, but it's not number one. I mean, I feel like with the Harry Kane stuff passing us by, I really think we're missing out there. You know, he's got. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He's gone under the radar with 30 goals a season. The fact we're getting a striker is fantastic, but it sounds like the plan was originally for him to be a second choice striker.
Right.
Is it ideal to bring him in and rely on him heavily? Goalkeepers has been another issue this week. De Gea's contract has flip-flopped yet again. Was it not this week, just gone, but the one before, there was rumours of a Pickford bid? I mean...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's the question, isn't it, really? Like, I know people who don't support Man United are going to say, who would you pick out of Pickford and De Gea? Are going to say Pickford. But I don't know. I feel like it's bad that that's even close to decide.
I mean, the type of play that Ten Hag's got you playing, you want to play out from the back, and De Gea is just not comfortable doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have more capable ball-playing defenders. It all goes to pot when you play Maguire there, because he's always asking for the ball, but he's got a bad touch and he's not good under pressure. So it just kind of exacerbates the issue that you have when you play De Gea. But he looks more comfortable when he's got Varane and Martinez in front of him. So I wouldn't get rid of him personally, but you've got to get his wedge down. Otherwise, I mean, that 400k a week to be a second choice goalkeeper is just dumb money, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, there were stories that he'd rejected 300 and something. And then there was talk of Saudi Arabia. And then this week there was talks that he wasn't going to sign, and it's been offered 200,000. I think it looks like all the whisperings lead to the fact we're signing another goalkeeper. I'm more relieved that we've been linked with Onana from Inter Milan this week. That's great. And also David Raya, who looked set to sign for Tottenham, and then they just brought this Italian keeper out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah. I thought the Brentford to Tottenham move makes sense. You know, you're not moving far away. You're probably not going to lose your spot in the Spain team. If anything, it puts you up the order in a slightly bigger club than Brentford.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was very, very strange. But yeah, that's the link this week. It looks very much like a goalkeeper is what's going to be. Maguire, I can't believe we didn't lead with this. Phil Jones has left the club, finally. Maguire has stepped straight into his place. He's not leaving. He's not going to leave and play football like a professional. He's going to sit and rot on the bench on his 300 grand a week or 200 grand a week, whatever he gets paid. That's all he's going to do, and that's exactly what Phil Jones done.
How many years has he got left on his deal?
Maguire, it would have been a 5+1 when Ollie bought him, so probably 2 more years. I don't know. However many years he's got left is that many years too many.
I did see Mason Greenwood's back in training.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? So
Mm.
this is from I heard about it this week, right? And there's been a lot of different debates about it. I'm just going to start off by saying just because just because the charges get dropped or you're not found guilty doesn't mean you're not, right? And that's what it
Mm-hmm.
was. He wasn't tried. The charges were
That's right.
dropped because the key witness, his girlfriend, they were back together and making a child together. Like,
Yeah.
you heard the tapes, you've seen the pictures.
It was awful.
I think it was. I'm not saying what he did was right, but that was a domestic dispute that probably that the aftermath of it could have been handled better. Like, but I am a believer that people should get the chance to be rehabilitated and do better because he is like a young footballer. No one can possibly imagine what it's like to be in his position, right? Before you know it, all of a sudden you're the dog's bollocks to all of your mates. You're earning fat wages. You're at one of the best teams in the world. You're one of the most promising young talents in the world. And all you've known your whole life is football. You've not had people around you telling you how to act. Although no one should tell you not to fucking beat up a woman, right? But he should be given a second chance in life, right? You can say, right, you've done this, you fucked up, but it's still down to Man United now how they want to proceed with it. At the end of the day, he's an asset, and that's as ruthless as it gets.
How do you think he goes about it? Would you ship him off to Saudi, or would you have him go and be very public about it, about a rehabilitation course, and say I've attended this course, I've learned the error of my ways, although that kind of admits that you've done it. But maybe I've done some anger management training courses, and I've matured as a person. Does he get back into? Do you think he will ever play for the club again?
I don't know. If it was my way, I think he plays football again. I think there's absolutely no doubt. But the fact it's been such a long time now since the charges were dropped and everything was taken out of court, but he's still part of a Manchester. That's why people make a big story of it. They go, "Oh, he's been put on the new registered players list and stuff like that." It's just because he's not left yet. Like, he's still there. Doesn't mean he's not suspended under investigation, right?
Yeah,
it's a tough one because, like I say, you do have to look at it from the ruthless perspective. Like, I know it's two different things, but when you look at the ruthlessness of football business, remember the thing with Emiliano Sala?
Oh yeah.
Like, only a couple of weeks after he died tragically, the clubs are fighting. Right, technically we shouldn't pay now, right? And stuff like that. And it's just like, as horrible as it is, that's the ruthless part of football. Business has to come first. And just take all of this aside, how much money would Mason Greenwood have been worth? If Rashford was valued at 150 million by PSG, Mason Greenwood is at least half of that.
Easily.
So if you're sitting on a 75 million pound player, you can't just go, right, off you pop, see you later. You have to go, if it's the way they want it to go down, if they want him out, they go, right, out you go. And we're going to take money on you. We're probably going to have to take a hit on you, but we need to find you a suitor. And you could argue Saudi Arabia is probably the best place for both the player and the club.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really care about human rights or women's rights over there, so I think it'd be a good fit for him.
No, I mean, we laugh, but it just is true, isn't it? Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I mean, would I be happy that he's back? No. But do I believe that he should be given a chance to be back? Absolutely. A separate issue from all of this, obviously I don't want to correlate the two, but his football ability, no one even knows how good that will be. So that's another risk that any potential club coming in for him's going to think about, right? And say, well, he's not played a game of professional football in 18 months, so how do we know if he's any good? Like, if they want him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there is that. I can't think what else has happened with United. Any other big movements for Arsenal, like coming in?
We're kind of linked with Lavia from Southampton,
Mm-hmm.
but I think most clubs are. Apparently, we can get him for 30, 40 million. That wouldn't be a terrible signing. Did see an interesting one that Frankie de Jong is linked with Bayern Munich this week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just to kick off that transfer saga, I know that you guys were you just a little bit interested in him last year?
I think out of the full 2.5 month season break, it was only mentioned 5 times a day, every day,
Just
by
a
every
handful of
journalist
times.
ever. Yeah. But that's the thing is, right? It's a complete guessing game with Barcelona now, isn't it? What's
Mhm.
happening with them? Are they in crippling debt, or are they going and buying players? All I've seen from Barcelona is the players that they've got coming in.
Yeah.
How are they doing this? How do they say in one breath that they're absolutely battered, they've got not a single pot to piss in, not got a penny to spend, but then they go and get Gundogan. They go and get this other youngster. I can't remember his name. Is he Cameroonian or Senegalese or some promising youngster they brought in as well? And it's just like, you haven't been paying your players wages. Like, some players are still on wage cuts from COVID. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Busquets has gone.
Titi is gone.
Titi has gone, has he? I must have missed that one. Where did he go?
Yeah. He's very, very close to signing for Lyon, which I think he went to Barcelona
Okay.
from Lyon, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good signing out for, because he was on some mega money, and they blamed him. Well, there was a lot of fingers pointed at him when all the other players were taking pay cuts, and he just refused.
Yeah.
Because you're right, you've signed a contract. If you don't want to take a pay cut, don't do it.
Who else was it that I can't remember his name. It wasn't Braithwaite, was it, as well? There was someone else that
Yeah.
really firmly stood against taking this pay cut, so they just sort of shipped him out. And
Yeah.
I'd be doing the same, like, because look at them now, like you say, you Frankie de Jong, he's a good player for them, but he's not getting done any favours if they block a move for him and stuff like
No.
that, and no loyalty to him at all. Like, he wanted the move. If he hadn't have had his wages docked, I think he would have been a Man United player last season. It was so nearly done, but he was missing so much wages. And I know they earn a lot of money, but he's well within his right if they owe him, 12 million or whatever?
Yeah, I think, did I see something of them saying that if he leaves to join Manchester United, they're not backdating any of the wages that they owe him?
And I don't think they would have to. I can't remember the exact details, but you're right. I think there was some, from a legal standpoint, they wouldn't have had to.
Madness.
Because
Absolutely madness.
I think if he leaves at any point in his contract, that they don't owe him it, because I'll have to have a look into this, because I heard it so many times last season. I'm surprised I don't remember it, but it was something like the extra wages get paid over the course of your contract. So
Okay.
Barcelona legally have to pay him by the end of his contract date, whether that's in installments or one lump sum. But if they don't pay him, they're in trouble. And I think he's not the only player with that situation as well, right?
I remember Tottenham Hotspur cancelled Adebayor's contract, and they said, we'll just pay you in one lump, we'll pay out your contract, and he was playing for other clubs, scoring goals against them whilst still being paid by Spurs.
That's amazing. I think one of my favourite facts, I think, was when Mourinho was in charge of United, and then we came up against David Moyes in a game. And they said, I think there was a point where David Moyes had longer on his contract than Mourinho did at Man United, if it had still been in force. It was somewhat mental like that. I love that. I love them sort of statistics. A quick look at outgoings then. So United, as always, we are the worst possible team for outgoings. Just sold Zidane Iqbal for £1 million. We had a little.
I couldn't believe that. I was criminal.
Yeah, we had a little chat about him. I can't remember if it was something related to TikTok or YouTube, but he was a youngster that had come through promising, first British Asian to play for United. An exciting prospect, but sold. And I don't know. I don't think I'm too disappointed about it. But he's just another talent that wasn't going to get game time. I think the fee, you could probably argue, wasn't enough. But if you're not getting time, then what's the point? Like, who's above him in the pecking order now? McTominay, Fred, Van der Beek, Ericsson, Bruno. If Mount comes in, he's going to be like 9th choice. And we haven't got top. We're not fortunate enough to be able to give these players chances.
Yeah, but you should be able. I don't know whether it's your director of football or whoever's sorting out your transfers. Surely a player who's, how old is he? 19?
Yeah, a loan, for example.
19 years old. Yeah, comes out. Yeah, a loan. Send him out on loan, but get him some game time at a different club, increase his transfer value, and then sell him if you really can't find a solution inside the club for him. But surely a hot prospect who's played. I think I see that he played for the club since he was 9 years old.
Yeah,
he's been at Manchester United for 10 years. Must have something about him. But £1 million is scandalous.
I think we've not seen enough of him in the first team to really be able to judge it. Like, even players in the academy that look good don't always translate into good pro players. Yeah. But it is unfortunate, and obviously wish him the best, but it would have been nice just to see a bit more of him. It just surprises me that it happened so quickly. Maybe there was a bit of a push from his side as well. He wanted, first team football. So, trying to think, has there been any other outgoings? No, I think it's just Phil Jones. De Gea's contract's run out. And Van der Beek, I think, he's up in the air. Fred to Fulham was a bit of a rumour. I've not heard much on that. McTominay to Newcastle's another one, but
McTominay to West Ham as well. I've heard if Arsenal do sign Rice or if Man City sign Rice, that's not a bad signing for West Ham, to be fair. Because the good thing about Manchester United, and when I read Fergie's book, is that they focus on the family of the player rather than the it's the stock, isn't it? The stock of the player. And I heard somebody speak about McTominay and his family and the roots that he has, and he's a humble. He might not be the most gifted player in the world, but he's hardworking and humble with it. And sometimes that's half the battle. If you sometimes believe in your own hype, gives you kind of this visions of grandeur that you're the greatest player ever. But if you believe in your ability and you know your limitations, then you're already a better footballer than somebody else that thinks they're way better than they are.
Yeah, I think what McTominay struggles with as well is just his consistency. That's a lot of players at the top issue. Like, you can play in the McTominay is a Premier League player, right? But if we want to be ruthless, just have a look at players in his position at other teams. So Gundogan, Xhaka, these players this season have just been consistent week in, week out. Who's up there for Liverpool? Well, no, not really anyone for Liverpool, but
Henderson. You'd say Henderson's a better and more consistent player.
A young Jordan Henderson, would be the sort of player you want. But McTominay just isn't that. He goes missing, doesn't show for the ball often enough in midfield. He doesn't always pass great, but he can have absolutely belting performances. And there was one point we was even talking about putting him as a striker. Like, it's just mad. Yeah, time for him to move on for me, definitely. Fun fact, though, he is currently the highest goal scorer in Euro qualification. So,
wow,
that's not a bad little thing to have on your CV while the transfer window's open.
Did he score the other night at that awful waterlogged pitch at Scotland?
Mate, you're asking someone who hasn't watched a minute of qualification matches since it's been on.
That pitch was awful.
Yeah, I'll follow the result of England games. I'm not following the result of anyone else. It sounds bad to say, but I have no interest in any of that. I watched the Italy game in the last one because I thought there's a bit of jeopardy there, right? You might lose, but I don't need to see us drumming some minnow team. I don't know.
They pay their players in chopped cabbage.
Yeah, there's some Maltese guy watching this now going, "Fuck's sake!" I thought we'd get a mention.
Probably their highlight of their career as well, being drubbed 7-0 by England.
Someone fully expecting us to mention Georgios Timikos' pass in the 67th minute from Malta or whatever his name is. I did have a mention from a follower of the Twitch channel that I go on. He asked us for future episodes, can we talk something a little bit about for rookies of the sport, people who don't really follow football as passionately as us.
Okay.
So we'll probably add a little bit of something onto the end, but transfer window, if you're watching this now, transfer window is a part of the season. There's two parts, one between seasons in the summer and then during the winter break in December, January. Players can basically sign for other players. It's a bit like if you're watching American sports, they have the drafts. Ours is like that, but players own the rights to a player basically, and they have contracts and they can move and blah, blah, blah. But if you want to follow people on Twitter, follow a guy called Fabrizio Romano. That will probably give you a bit more insight as to what happens with transfers in football. That's on Twitter. And yeah, we'll be talking about it week in, week out as well.
There is a really good documentary on Sky at the moment about transfer windows.
Yeah.
That I watched. It was I can't remember the name of the Spurs guy. Tanganga, and then there was the Spanish player that moved to PSG in the summer. Is it Fabian Ruiz or something?
Oh yeah.
It was a really good. He gives you an insight into it. Like you can see that the player wants the move. The agents come and spoken to them. That the club has banished them from training and all of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Tanganga was about to go on a permanent because he said he's never going to get ahead of the players that they've got. I mean, if you can't get ahead of Eric Dyer, it's time to look for another club. So true. all of that sort of stuff. It was really interesting to see. If you do have the time to go and check it out on Sky, check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can get something in the Discord about that, link to the Discord in the video description as always. We'll try and get something in there. We'll move on then to done deals. Our clubs. Hopefully something will come this week. Are you expecting anything to come out this week about done deal?
Well, Hearts is probably very likely. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit underwhelmed by it. I hate getting Chelsea rejects. But I'm interested to see what Arteta cooks with him, because by the looks of it, he plays as a forward for Chelsea. But I don't know whether that's necessarily because Chelsea don't have any strikers that can score, or whether that's his best position. I've seen a lot of people say he's more of a 9 than a 10. I've seen people that say maybe he's going to play Xhaka's role. So we'll see.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. But that's the only one that I can see that will come off this week, unless we tie Declan Rice down.
Yeah. We're Man United, so obviously we don't do anything until the last week of the window, which is probably going to happen, isn't it? But never mind.
I did see somebody joke that Man United are going to flirt all season this with Kane and then pick up Chris Wood on loan.
We'll probably go back in for bloody Weghorst, knowing me, knowing our look. Right, we'll move on to done deals then. As pictured, the first one we're going to talk about, the highest price ever paid for an Italian player, Sandro Tonali to Newcastle. Very early business. He was apparently, this was after the transfer news come out, of course, that he was their number one target. And from rumour being the conversations, I think within 24 hours, it was job done.
Because Newcastle have infinite money. You want 100 grand a week? Yeah, 100 grand a week. You want 500 grand a week? Yeah, why not?
He's actually on quite a competitive wage for the Prem. I read it was 7 million euros a year plus 2 million a year in performance-related add-ons. So wow. 7 million euros a year. I think that translates to about 150k a week.
Wow.
Translate that again, and it's what, 130 grand in pounds. So
it's a lot of comparisons with him and Pirlo. I don't know whether the Premier League will afford the same type of time that Pirlo had in the Italian league.
He's Italian. He's got long hair. He plays midfielder, so he's Pirlo, right?
Plays for AC Milan.
It's the same as Tony Marshall when we signed him. He's black, he's French, next Thierry Henry. That's just how it goes, isn't it? I don't think we'll get carried away. Maybe Newcastle fans are getting carried away.
Yeah, he looks like a great player. I signed him many a time on Football Manager. Good old Sandro Tonali.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good signing for Newcastle. I think that was arguably the position they needed shoring up first was someone, in that midfield, like a solid sort of holding midfielder.
Mm-hmm.
Bring some strength to the midfield. When you look who's there now, it's sort of what Joe Linton, Willock, Bruno Guimaraes, and yeah, I think that'll be a nice little pivot there in the midfield to sort of build the attacks around. Not that they need someone to bolster their attack like that, but yeah, worrying times. I think maybe next on their radar is a left back. I think Kieran Tierney's been linked with them too, but I guess we'll see.
I wouldn't like to lose him to a Premier League rival personally.
Yeah, to be honest, it's just nice to talk about a done deal that's going to not a Saudi Arabian club. We'll talk a little bit about that now. So the Saudi stuff, what baffled me the most about it was when I heard a little bit more about it was it's not the clubs coming in for the players. Isn't it like an agency representing 4 different clubs and they're just going on a mission on their behalf?
Yeah, so they've been tasked with bringing quality footballers to the Saudi league, and they're essentially this mini agent club thing is just going, right, we'll have Benzema, we'll have Neves, we'll have Kante, and we'll put them at this club, and we'll put them at that club, and we'll put them at this
What
club.
are they called, PIF or something like that?
Yeah, which is, they've got stakes owned by, oh no, they own Newcastle United, don't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't like it. Not because it's Saudi, not because of the type of stuff that it's in, but obviously we've just seen the fallout of PGA and Live Golf, and now they've merged. It's just a huge amount of money that is being thrown to try and kind of to buy themselves the most prestigious league. But what you can't buy, and I'm going to sound like a Liverpool fan here when I say it, you can't buy history, you can't buy tradition, you know, I don't think there's one thing to sign aging players, but when you're signing players like Ruben Neves, who has plenty left in the tank, and could play for any top 6 Premier League team, I think any Champions League team as well. I think
that was the most normal signing out of all that. Like, let's say Barcelona paid 47 million for Ruben Neves. No one would bat an eyelid. Man United did it. Again, no one would. What baffles me the most is when it starts to come, I can't remember the links, but Burley from Chelsea, he has some sort of ties. And then all of a sudden, Koulibaly, Edouard Mendy, Kante, all past their pomp. Kante, back from a big injury, comes back for a short while, gets injured again. Why is he available at full price? Like, who's paying? Why are they paying full price for a crocked Kante?
He's just gone on a free transfer, but they've paid mega bucks wages for him, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh, they didn't pay a fee. Okay, so it's his wages. But
no, but Koulibaly though, that they've paid a big fee, and Mendy that they've
paid virtually what Chelsea paid, right?
Yeah. So for Mendy, that apparently they're paying 30 million for Mendy. Who's paying 30 million for Mendy? Where's your competition?
This is what I mean, right? Sense. Why? And this is going to sound bitter, but why are they not coming for United players? Like, no, think about it. If they've been tasked to come and get these Prem players to try and like sprinkle some, I don't know, are they trying to bring attention to the league or what? Because they're not going for like quality players, are they?
Oh, in their day, Mendy and Koulibaly were both great players. Kante was probably one of the best central midfielders in the world at one point. But
yeah, I mean, in their day, but I mean, now are they looking? Surely they're looking for marketable players, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's what they're doing there. I mean, Benzema was the Ballon d'Or winner last year. I was surprised he's gone, to be fair.
But you want marketable players. You just want anyone from United or Barcelona or Liverpool even. Like, we've got tons of crock shit we could tell you. Do you know what I mean? Like Maguire. Yeah, but no, Maguire to West Ham does actually make more sense. Proper Brexit geezers. They'd love him, wouldn't they, Ben?
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Saudi stuff's very bizarre. It wouldn't surprise me if, in 10 years' time we're saying, watching a documentary about how Saudi corrupted the whole of football in Europe. But I don't know. It all just stinks. Like, when weird shit like this happens, I'm just hoping there's a a real good explanation for it.
In 10 years' time, Chelsea will have 115 charges of financial criminality against them. And we might have, by then, we might have heard about Man City's, but...
That's it. If Pep Guardiola's in charge, he'll be found innocent, so just get him. Yeah, I can't think of any other significant deals that have been done this week. Kovacic to Man City was done.
Good business at 30 million as well.
I just think that's a strange one. I just think it's a strange one. Yeah. Why would you get rid of maybe Gundogan? Just because of his age, maybe?
Yeah, what is it? I think he's 32, isn't he? You get a player that's 3 or 4 years younger than him. And Kovacic is always ever present in the Man City team. Sorry, in the Chelsea team.
Yeah.
So I think having a fit and available player is probably what they need. I did read a really interesting article about Calvin Phillips this week for Man City, about how the first year under Pep Guardiola, Nathan Ake, Jack Grealish, there was another one as well. I can't remember who it was,
Akanji?
but Akanji. No, it wasn't Akanji. No, it was a player that had played for a couple of seasons. John Stones. That said that playing under Pep Guardiola for the first year is the hardest game that you will ever play, and the fact that Calvin Phillips hasn't played all season really isn't a concern for him, because he said he's learning the style, he's learning the way that Pep wants to play, and then next year he's hoping that he should be able to flourish. But if you're Calvin Phillips and you've got Rodri in front of you,
yeah,
and are you ever going to get that first team opportunity? I don't think he probably would.
Yeah, I think it might just be a case of he will get opportunity. Like, it's not like he didn't play any game time at all last season, but he got games in the cups. But yeah, when you're looking at quality, it's without a doubt always going to be Rodri. But you never know; there could be an injury, and he needs to be able to step up. That's it's happened numerous times with other players. But he obviously, like you said from that article, he obviously sees some value of working with Pep and not playing football, rather than playing game time and working with a David Moyes or someone like that. So there's obviously something to it.
Very, very interesting. Nice take on it. The Athletic at the moment, you can normally pick it up for £1 a month at Black Friday time. That's what I did. So. I think otherwise it's 25 or 30 quid a year. I actually joked and laughed at one of my friends once when he says he pays for the Athletic every month. I'm like, you get these articles for free anywhere. Why the hell will you pay for it?
No, I think they're very reputable, aren't they? Good journalists at the Athletic.
I'm sold. I think it's excellent for the Athletic.
Lovely. So yeah, we'll obviously keep updated with any news that comes in. What we tried to do as often as we can in our Discord group throughout the week is any notable stories we'll share within the Discord. So if you want to join in, see what transfer stories are happening, or even contribute and inform us about what stories are happening, get yourself in there. Link in the description. First link you'll see. Join the Discord, and yeah, we'd love to talk about all things transfers while there's no games at the minute. So in terms of done deals, I'm sure there'll be more deals done next week. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head anymore.
None that I can think of.
I should have written this down. But yeah, we'll leave it at that then. We'll move on. Coming up, so I've pictured here Maurizio Pochettino. It was just a little segment I wanted to add in at the end. Now, as we get closer to the start of the season, the plan is to do some predictions for next season about who we think is going to be a good manager, who's going to flop, where we think people are going to finish. There'll be loads to do with it, right?
Yeah.
But I just want to get your early, not prediction, but your early take on Pochettino and Chelsea. What do you expect in Chelsea's first season under Poch? Do you expect, in all seriousness, no, I say you licking your lips and rubbing your hands like, fuck them up, boys. But no, literally, do you think that this is going to be a good fit, match made in heaven, or do you think it's going to go Pete Tong?
Unfortunately for Mauricio Pochettino, I think that Chelsea are very impatient. They've always been very impatient. Impatient, sorry, not impatient. I don't see him lasting beyond maybe January or February.
Okay.
Not Beatty at all. I genuinely think that
No,
he will.
there's a good
He
reason
will,
why you think that.
I think that he will play a good style of football, but I think that the players that they have, they all need time to adjust and develop and grow into the Premier League. They've signed Nkunku, haven't they? From Leipzig.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like a good player. Never played in the Premier League before. How's he going to adapt? Mudryk still hasn't adapted. They've just lost the core of their central midfield with Kovacic, losing Mount. Kante's gone. They're going to have to build a new core central midfield. Conor Gallagher's not good enough. They'll have to get rid of him. I'm sure he'll leave. I'm sure. So I think when you take out the spine of that team,
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be another similar season to what what they had this season and what Forest have had. They've got too many players that don't know what they're doing, and the club needs to react very quickly to that. So yeah, January, February, I reckon he'll be gone.
Okay. I get that, yeah. I don't think he'll be gone by this season at all unless it goes disastrously wrong. Chelsea, like you say, reputably don't give managers time. But let's be honest, Graham Potter, we've said this before as well, Graham Potter got far more time than he deserved at Chelsea. Far more time. Because of Potter, they were genuinely mathematically in a relegation battle with like 2 games to go. So he was given too much time. I think you need to be given time, but the right person. I think they don't. What's tough? Realistically, right? You're the Chelsea board now. You've got to set goals, smart goals, so they're realistic and so on and so forth. What's Chelsea's goal for next season? It's got to be European football, right?
It's got to be European football.
The amount of money they spent, yeah.
Yeah, 600 odd million in the last season, sorry. They have to get European football, otherwise it is crippling for them financially. And whilst they've got a big mega star in Bowley, sign him whoever he wants, you can't make your figures fit if you don't have European football.
So you've got to give him the time to get used to the players he's got to work with. 6 months, I think, is fair. Would you say that if he's in the bottom half of the season, that's arguably at bottom half of the table at that point? That's arguably enough to have him gone.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's the problem you face, though. When you bring another manager in, you're just starting again. I think that Poch is good. Poch isn't really a known entity as a manager as such. Since he left, no one's done better than him at Spurs. PSG is just a complete political mess. So you can't. He came in halfway through a season, lost the French League One, which, yeah, it's memeable, but you could argue again that's not really his fault either, right? PSG is a law unto itself, and at Southampton, everyone just remembers him as being a great prospect. So I think this is now where we really see what Poch can do. He's a good manager. There's no denying he's a good manager, but after 6 months, if he's sitting in 12th. I can't see that being fair. That'd be a huge mistake by Chelsea to not give him a full season.
Yeah.
I think they've got to lower their expectations and say, yeah, European football, but if it doesn't work out, there's got to be a plan. I think give him the season. If he finishes bottom half at the end of the season, then yeah, maybe. But
most importantly, back him with the players that he wants. Don't go out there and play football manager as the chairman of the club. If Poch wants a player, go all out on it. Let him buy who he wants. If he wants to get rid of players that you've only just signed because he doesn't think that they're good enough, do it. Back him 100%. Let him cook. Let him do what he wants to do. And if he fails by January, February time doing what he wants to do, you can't argue that, can you? He deserves to go. But if you're signing players and going, hey, I've just bought Neymar for you, and he's gone, Neymar, that motherfucker didn't play for me at PSG.
And it's his
You know,
sister's birthday in 2 months, so he'll be gone then.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I've got a really important quarter final in March that I've got to play. Oh, look, Neymar's unavailable.
Chelsea won't be in a
Yeah.
quarter final by March.
Oh,
That's,
they're not even in the Champions League.
I think that is going to be an absolutely huge benefit for him, though, isn't it? No midweek trips away, extra time on the training ground.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that then. There was one more thing I forgot to ask at the time we was on it. This was a question I saw floating around. I believe it was Stretford Paddock, the United channel. Will David De Gea go down as a United legend? I'll let you answer that first.
Footballers are a lot like famous artists, and when they're dead, or in footballer's sense, when they're gone, you don't appreciate them enough. I think of Van der Sar as a Manchester United legend. So I'd probably say yes. But
Yeah.
he's made some massive calamitous mistakes this season, and he runs the risk of. Has he won anything of note? Did he win a Premier League under Fergie?
Yeah, he was one of the only Premier League winners left in the team with Phil Jones.
I'd say he is a Manchester United legend and a Premier League legend as well. But yeah, I think the longer that he plays in a formation that doesn't suit him, the longer he kind of has to maybe tarnish that legendary status.
See, it wasn't much of a debate for me. I think the way he finishes his career is one thing to another, right? You look at Ronaldo, the way he left United the second time was just so unsettling.
Yeah.
It was just disrespectful. I hated it happening. And that was the worst way a player can leave a club. Doesn't mean he's not a club legend still, right? So De Gea having a few bad performances. But you've got to think, he won the Golden Glove this season. He's now the record holder for all-time clean sheets for the club. There's no way he can't be a club legend, right? So it was an easy answer for me, but there were people actually genuinely debating that he'll never be a legend.
Oh, never's harsh. Never's harsh.
I think
he's in the discussion.
He either is or he isn't now, right? Because he's not getting better. He's not outperforming anything he's done at United.
Yeah,
he's just added to his time served, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like it's a prison.
Well, you're not wrong. But yeah, I think he's made some incredible stops over the years. There was one game, I think I want to say it was against Everton. Some unbelievable saves in that game that kept you in that game. I don't know what the importance of it was, but I certainly remember that as a moment where you've gone, oh my God, David De Gea, the guy's like a proper web slinger, Spider-Man guy in goal.
I'm going to have to watch a David De Gea save montage after this tonight. I think he's had so many good saves, and I think there was a period of time where I think he won 4 Player of the Year awards at Man United in a row, but that wasn't because, well, it was a kind of mixture of we didn't have any attacker going absolutely ham every season, but De Gea was keeping us in games. He was changing games so often, and changing results. Like, he was the sole reason we qualified for the Champions League a number of times, and I think for that reason he will be a legend. He's won a Premier League title, he's won FA Cups, or Cup, Carabao Cup. You know, he's won everything with us apart from the Champions League. So I think if he does leave, best of luck to him. He'll always be a legend to me. I think he's been underrated for the longest time. This is what's happened with De Gea. He had a shaky few games at the start, and people have hated on him, non-United fans, for such a long time. They've just waited and waited and waited for him to be bad. And now the time has finally come where he's dropping clangers and like, we told you he was bad. It's just like, yeah, but he's been exceptional for like 11 years, mate. So I'm not really too bothered about the pelters he's getting now. He's getting the criticism he deserves, of course, but no, he's been too good to be considered a failure or a flop or anything short of a legend for me.
If Van der Sar can be considered a club legend, then I'm sure De Gea can quite easily.
Yeah, I think Van der Sar came in aged, what was he when he joined United? 36?
Yeah.
Won a Champions League and disappeared after a couple of years. So, yeah, I mean, Van der Sar arguably is, well, not arguably, for me, he's still one of my favourite United keepers of all time. But, yeah, that was the debate. But, yeah, no, short and sweet on that one.
Excellent.
Is there anything else that we may have missed out before we wrap ourselves up? And
what's on my list? England's under-21s beat Israel today 2-0. The under-21s tournament's kicking off nicely.
yeah, how could I forget?
Name me a single Israel player, let alone an under-21s Israel player.
I'm going to say there's one called Hamish.
Probably.
I don't know. We'll get back to you on that one. No, to be fair, there is a few exciting players for the England ones. I probably should watch some more. Is it covered on TV?
No. I saw it on the live chats earlier for BBC. So
Yeah.
I've not seen it's online, but I'll do a bit of digging and see if I can find it.
Probably
see
on
Smith Rowe
Premier
and
Sports or something, won't it?
yeah, probably Smith Rowe and Gordon scored both. Two of our goals today.
Yeah. Didn't Jacob Ramsey score the other day too?
He did. Him and Smith Rowe again scoring. Smith Rowe's lighting up the under-21s tournament.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, I spoke with a guy at work who's an Arsenal fan, and he said that, you know, it's sort of shame that after he went out injured, he never got back into the team. We've had a chat about it before. It'd be nice to see him get some more football. I'd probably loan him out if I was Arsenal this season.
And who we bring in? If we bring in Rice, Havertz, and Lavia, then absolutely.
Mm-hmm. What is it? The under-21 Euro. There it is. Let's see. It doesn't say it's on TV. No, it's not as well. That's disappointing. That is really.
Yeah.
For me, that it's not. I would genuinely have more interested in watching an under-21s tournament than a qualifiers against like Malta and that. I think it's nice to see, like, you got Anthony Gordon there, Jacob Ramsey, like you say, Smith Rowe, Angel Gomez or Angel Gomez, whatever his name is. I'd probably watch more of that, to be fair. What was the game we watched locally? They had it was at Peterborough Stadium, England under-19s.
Oh, right.
Against Czech Republic under-19s. And I only went there because Brandon Williams was set to play. He'd been picked for the under-19s. I thought, I'd like to go and see this lad play in real life. And I'll tell you, there was 3 players in that team. England lost 3-0, by the way. There was 3 players in that team that you could tell were going to be good footballers.
Mm-hmm.
One at left back, Brandon Williams. He looked genuinely like he could make an effort and he knew his way around the pitch. At right back, can you guess who might have been there? Young English right back, promising young talent.
No.
Tariq Lamptey.
Did he not commit to play for Ghana?
I don't know. He was playing for England under-19s. He's not gone to Ghana, has he?
Oh, I was hearing rumours that he was going to pledge his allegiance to Ghana.
He may well have done. That'd be sad if he has, because he's. I don't blame him, to be fair. There, how many right backs have we got? And the other one was Angel Gomez. He played for United at the time. I think he left not long after that. He was very short though, but he looked like Messi was short, wasn't he? So there you go. Angel.
He was short,
before his growth hormones. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is that Angel Gomez is the new Messi. So
yeah, you've heard it here first, guys.
We'll call it a night there then, Sean. Have you got anything nice planned for the week ahead, mate? I'm just waiting for you to say something so I can brag about having a week off work.
No, we're moving offices next week. So not this week, but the week after. So that'll be good fun. Yeah, that's about it. You've got your stream thing.
I do, yeah. I've got a week off work, so that's exciting. I'm going to go to watch my nephews on their sports day on Tuesday. And then Friday, doing a birthday stream over on Twitch. So if you're watching this, you may already know me. I'm a bit of a Twitch streamer too. I'll be giving away prizes, so come and watch me. Link in the description. And
they'll to shave his beard.
Yeah, there'll probably be some embarrassing stuff on there too. Might have to put some cream on my face or eat something spicy. We'll see. Get over there, check it out. 7 p.m. Friday. And that's it. So, much appreciated everyone who come out, watch the stream. We'll be back to normal next week with hopefully some more business that's already done. My computer is just having a bit of a fart. Sorry about that. And yeah, we'll leave it there then, Sean. Thank you very much for joining me as always. It's been a pleasure to be back. In terms of TikTok and other stuff, don't really know what's going on with that at the minute. We've both been super, super busy, but we always are. Rest. What's the saying? No rest for the wicked. That's it. No rest for the wicked.
It's bloody hot at the moment, and our computer's like, it's so fucking hot.
Yeah, Betty Swallows herself has been holding us back on this one. But yeah, again, much appreciated. We love the support and appreciate you just coming to watch us chat shit for an hour and a half every week. So yeah, we'll call it there and wish you good night and a good week ahead. Cheers, Sean.
See you next week.
Bye.